Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are tackling an Animal Crossing outfit. Like most people, this pandemic, Animal Crossing has become a huge part of my life. And I love the game, I love the fashion elements of it, it's fantastic. And I decided to recreate one of the outfits I've been wearing a lot on my villager this kind of early fall season in the game, even though it snowed yesterday, so it's not really fall here anymore. But I want to give just a bit of a disclaimer. I ended up finishing filming all of this in November, at the beginning of November. So this video is a bit delayed, so when I'm talking about fall, we were at the very tail end of fall, but now we have like 6 feet of snow. So ignore the fact that I say fall in this video. I'm still trying to live in fall even though we're already in winter. So to make this outfit, I'm going to be sewing the main jacket piece of the outfit and then thrifting the rest. Minus the shoes because I already have those. But come along with me as I make this jacket and thrift the outfit and we'll see it all come together. Well, the pattern is printed and it is a hefty pile of paper. Time to assemble it. So I didn't mention I'm using a pattern by Mood Fabrics for this tutorial. I can't quite remember the name of it, but it will be linked in the description box below. This took many hours to put together. I think it was 3 or 4 in total. Well, that's enough of this for tonight. I got about halfway done the pattern, but it's a very large pattern. Only 37 pages to go. So for pieces like this where there's a little bit left on the previous piece, I'm not cutting that big of a size, so I didn't attach it there just to make my large sheet smaller. So now I've finished assembling the pattern, so now it's time to cut it out. Looking at this size chart, I'm between 12 and 14, but I want this to be a bit oversized, so I'm going to cut it out to be 16 by 18 size, and then we're going to modify it a bit. Here is me cutting out the pattern, which took just as long as putting it together. To make sure I didn't miscut, I highlighted the corners of the size I needed so that while I was cutting, I didn't miscut. So it's day 3 of making this pattern. It is a very large pattern, so if you are new to making printable patterns, it's a bit of a daunting task to put it all together. But now we're on to hacking the pattern and making it so that it has princess seams going down the front and kind of altering the pocket to look like this. And yeah, so let's get into it. Okay, so the first step, we're going to trace out the existing pattern piece because I don't want to screw with this too much in case I want to make it the regular way someday. So first we're going to trace it on some paper and then start hacking. I'm sorry you can't see any of this because it's really hard for me to film. Also, side note, you're gonna want to make any markings that the pattern has of like line up here and those kind of things just to make sure you don't lose that when you go to make it. Now I've traced out the front piece onto this piece of paper. I'm gonna now start hacking and doing the princess seam. To do this, I'm gonna use the side lining piece to kind of give me a guide of like where the halfway point is, and I'm also going to use the pocket because I don't want the pocket size to change, and kind of use that as kind of my center point. And then princess seams always come out of mid armpit and curve down and then straight. I'll show you in a minute what the finished pieces look like so you can get an idea if you want to hack this pattern the same way I did. here's an aerial shot of the new seams. So we have the princess seam running down the center. And then this line is where we're going to cut off this piece so that it forms part of the pocket. And then we're going to cut a piece that's from here to the bottom to be the top part. And then we'll cut a lining piece from here to here for the pocket. Now that we have our side front cut out, we're going to retrace it, but only to the top of the pocket marking because we don't need to do this part. And then we can cut it off here, but we don't want to cut it until we transfer it. So here are the pieces we cut out. So we have the front side one, front side upper, front side lower, pocket bag, and then trim is the best word for that goes on top of the pocket to finish the edge. You'll know you got this pattern hacking done right when you lay it on top of the original and it's all covered minus like the wonky bits where you can't quite get it to stay together. But now we are finally ready to start cutting. So yesterday after I filmed all the pattern hacking, I was thinking about it and I'm like, I didn't check the length and I'm a very petite person. So today I measured out how long the side seam would be on me and it was way too long as predicted. I'm gonna be cutting off about a foot off of the bottom. So if my pattern pieces look really short compared to the last clip, that'd be why. So now we're on to cutting out the pieces in the fabric. I'm using this checked plaid brown fabric, which when doing a fabric like this, you have to try and match the seams to make it look like you don't have a bunch of seams in it, which is very difficult. If you're a newbie, use a solid or maybe like a floral or something where you can't really match up the seams. Also, if you're making this a warm jacket, it's probably going to be a thicker fabric, and I recommend you cut the layers one by one because trying to cut through 2 layers of fabric will destroy your hand and you will be in so much pain by the end of the pattern. I'm also going to be serging all the raw edges of my fabric. You don't need to worry about this, but I just do it to make it have a more professional edge. If you do want to clean up the edges, but you don't have a serger at home, just use a zigzag stitch on the edge. Sew the lining together. So you're going to do the lining side with the lining front. Then you're going to sew up the back seams to the slit. And then the pocket piece to the upper side. You're also going to be adding the pocket trim to the top of the bottom side piece. And in doing so, you're going to fold the trim piece in half and then sew it, lining up all the edges together. And then once you sew all that, press the seams so they lie flat. This is really important in this jacket since there is a lining and an outer shell. Next, you are going to be attaching the top of the pocket bag to the top of the bottom pocket piece. It's kind of hard to explain, so just look at the visual. Here I'm showing you how this whole side piece comes together once you attach the top, the pocket, and the bottom. and then sew the sides of the pocket closed. Okay, since the last clip, I noticed a few things and changed up what I actually was doing in that clip, so I'm going to walk you through that. First, the one side had horrible pattern matching on this kind of like top of the pocket finish piece, so I recut that because it was going to bother me, and if I went through with the coat that way, I wouldn't have worn it. So I fixed it. It now looks way better. And then also I switched up how I'm actually doing the side seams. So in the clip I showed just sewing all 3 layers together, when actually I decided to just do the pocket pieces together and then just stitch it at the top here to keep it all together. Just that way the pocket can be free as opposed to having it kind of sandwiched and then really stuck, because then this way you can move your hand around a little bit more. So yeah, I just changed up those few little things, and I didn't want you to be confused in later clips. So now that your side is all put together, you can attach it to the front. And press flat. Now you're going to attach the back and the 2 front pieces at the shoulder seam, both in the lining and in the outer shell. And once you sew that up, press it flat. So now we gotta put on the sleeves. And from doing some research, a double notch means it's the back of the pattern, and this 1 notch means it's the front. So this will attach to the front and the back, and then there's the center seam. So then I'll match this up to my sleeves and put it on the jacket. Here I am just attaching the sleeve. I always start at the center seam and work my way out. This makes sure that you don't have your pocket misaligned, because sometimes seam allowance isn't always the same, and you can have a little excess on either the sleeve or the body. And again, make sure to press your seams. This will be easier on either the rounded corner of your ironing board or a dress form if you have one. Now to close up the sides, I match up the armpit seam where the sleeves are, and then sew from the armpit to the end of the sleeve, and then armpit to the hem of the jacket. Now onto the collar. First, you're going to take the under collar piece and match up the curve to the upper collar piece. I also don't know what all the things I'm pointing at are, but this will be a good visual on how to do this. Now you can sew the 2 collar pieces together, leaving the bottom open so that you can attach it really neat to your jacket. And now press it, making sure you really poke out the corners, because you want those corners to be nice and crisp. Now to attach this to the jacket, you want to take the two-piece side of the collar and attach it to the outer lining or the outer fabric, starting at the center and working your way out. It's time to finally try on this jacket. Sorry if the lighting's absolute trash right now. It's super late that we've hit fall and days are like 5 hours long. But let's try it on. Oh, this looks so good. I'm very happy with how this has turned out. Obviously, sleeves are way too long for me, so we'll have to shorten those, but I think everything else fits perfect. Awesome. I'm excited. Here I'm just cutting off the excess off the sleeves to make it fit my short little arms. And if you didn't have to trim your arms, you can now go into putting the lining to the outer. And to do this, put them right sides together and then just line up all of the edges together. And you want to do from that collar piece all the way down to the bottom slit, leaving an opening at the slit and at the neck. Make sure to trim the excess fabric from all of your corners to make sure they sit nicely and to poke them out as well. Now to close up the neck, you just want to fold down the excess and pin it to that seam, and you're going to do a bit of a stitch in the ditch method where you want to make that seam as close to the original seam so that it's not visible from the outside. And while you do this, top stitch around the entire coat minus the slit in the bottom. But before you do that, make sure to press those seams nice and flat so they're crisp and you get that nice professional look. And at some point during this whole coat, you will probably have to refill your bobbin. And the bobbin always runs out when you only have a little bit left. Now for that bottom slit, you're just going to fold in the edges and press them really nice and just give a stitch up one side, across the other, and down the other. Now to finish the sleeves, I am first doing a mini hem on the outer layer just to make sure it's all tucked in and clean on the edges. And then once I do that, I am going to fold it up and pin it to the lining and then sew through the lining and the outer shell of the jacket. Now on to making your buttons. So I forgot to film this, but I'm just using the automatic button fit that comes with my sewing machine. If you're doing this manually, just do a small zigzag on either side and then a long zigzag on either end. Also, once you do your buttonholes, you will want to sew on your buttons in the corresponding spots. And with that, your jacket is complete. Now, on to thrifting the rest of this Animal Crossing outfit. Okay, so let's talk about what I got at the thrift store to complete this outfit, because the jacket is not going to be enough. So first I got this ivory toque. It's actually a really long one, but when I wear it without it folded up, it's a little too long, but it's really nice, actually white, which is a shocker at the thrift store, which I did not pick a good outfit to thrift with 2 white pieces on it, but I found this white toque. I also found this gorgeous white knit sweater. It looks so good. It's so thick and high quality. It's from Element Eden. It's actually white. Again, like I said, you can't find white at the thrift store, but I managed to find it in my size, which doesn't happen. And yeah, so this is a great, nice knitted sweater. And then lastly, I got a pair of dark wash jeans. These ones are from Dynamite. These actually were a struggle to find for me. I got caught in the exchange loop at Value Village where bought some stuff, didn't fit, exchanged them, new stuff didn't fit. I think I went 4 times before I got out of the exchange loop, because I don't know if my Value Village is really bad at sizing jeans. My typical size, I wasn't finding any jeans, so I had to go up like 1 or 2 sizes higher to actually find a pair, but I did. They're humongous in the waist, but fit my butt and thighs, so probably a future video will be how to take in jeans, since I need to take these in. But yeah, these are what I got to complete the outfit. Then to complete the outfit, I have my brown Chelsea boots that I got at, call it spring, last fall. They're nice, plain brown ankle boots. They're a little warm, so I wouldn't necessarily buy these again from them, but they're lasting pretty well for the price I paid for them. Now, let's go style this outfit. Here is the final look. Let me know down in the comments if you think I nailed this Animal Crossing jacket, or if I just made a jacket that was inspired by Animal Crossing. Now let's talk about some of the things that I would change with this pattern if I make it again, which I probably will next fall. Who knows? But some things I would change is, first, I would change the positioning of where the lapel starts, because it starts on me kind of just below my belly button, which leaves my chest very exposed, which in Canadian falls and winters, it's not a good thing unless you're wearing a giant chunky scarf. So I would have moved it up to be kind of more at boob height. That'd be the first thing I'd change, aside from the length and all the other stuff I hacked to make the pattern. But that's the main thing I would change. Also, I wouldn't recommend using a PDF pattern that doesn't have any instructions, because even as a trained seamstress, I was very lost with some of the pieces of this pattern because they didn't explain where they went. Like, there was a cuff element that I just ignored because I didn't know where it went on the sleeve. So there was no instructions. Like, is it supposed to be an interior piece to just help it lay flat? Is it supposed to be like an actual cuff? All these kind of things I didn't really know. I would also have gone with actually adding the interfacing, because I didn't do that. But I would only do it in the main collar here, just because it's a little flimsy and not the most sturdy, and it kind of sits a little funny when I wear it, but it's not something I'm overly mad about and wouldn't wear the jacket, you know? So yeah, those are the few things I would change if you're followed along with me or planning to follow along with me again later when you actually have fabric to make this. But thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like my content, and leave me a comment down below of what kind of outfits or pieces you want me to sew next. See you all in the next one.